Hi, I'm Jack Velos. I'm 14 years old and I love to create video games. I moved from Illinois to Michigan when I was only 6 years old. From then on, I didn't have much of a social life, but I still have some real life friends. When I'm alone, I like to do, what my hobbies are. For example, making games. Now, as this was obvious already, game development is a long and hard process. But it wasn't obvious to me when I was, 9 years old. I was I had just downloaded a software called RPG Maker, and it wasn't until a few days later I started to mess around in the software. I only watched tutorials that I wanted to watch. I didn't start simple, none of that. I only watched tutorials. I did the thing that the videos told me to do, and I had no idea what was going on in any of the tutorials. I didn't know what variables are basic game development concepts. Now, this already sounds bad already. Trust me, it gets worse. In 2018, I had just finished a demo to a game that I, unsurprisingly, didn't finish. I guess you could call it an impact on my workflow. No. I guess you could call it a little bit of progress, but it never really left an impact on my workflow. This, this led to me downloading softwares that I would just open, thought I looked too complicated, and never opened it again. This went on for so long that it's embarrassing. Very embarrassing. It's what I do all the time. And to top that off is whenever I started a new project, I found it was too ambitious and I just shelved it, never to work on it again. I was in this trap for 4 years of my life. It wasn't until December of 2020 that I had canceled another big project. I had gotten a lot of backlash from my friend group at that time. And at this point in time, they had already started making fun of me for not finishing any other projects. So you already know how bad it was getting. So, at this point in time, I was in a game development team. And an online friend from that team had some advice for me that I desperately needed to hear. So, he told me that we were inexperienced. We did not have, the experience to make the projects we wanted to make. This broken illusion I had for 3 years of my life at that point. I couldn't just make anything I wanted. I needed the experience to make the thing I wanted. It wasn't until September of 2021 where I had just remembered that same piece of advice. And I got to work on a simple test project where enemies came down from the screen and you had to shoot at them. It worked. It was technically my first game that I finished. After that, I started working on another game, The Fridge, The Holder of the Frozen Goods. This game tested my knowledge in game development. It was just so, it was my first big project that I, started working on. It got to, at one point of development, I gave up because, I couldn't get the pathfinding for the fridge, to work as I intended to. And when I told this to my friend group at the time, one of them said, "Oh, of course you'd cancel a game like that, or you'd cancel that game, or whatever he said, whatever the person said." This motivated me to test out the game again. I figured out that the pathfinding for the fridge was just fine. It barely got stuck, and even when it did, who would care? Well, of course, that's terrible advice. Don't follow that. Don't follow that. But this is my first proper game. Yes, it's not going to be perfect, but nothing's perfect. So, I worked on it more and more, harder and harder, if that even makes any sense, until I finished the game. It was complete. I had finished my first proper game. My friends and family were proud of me for my achievement, and overall, I have to say that game was honestly really fun to work on. But you may be wondering, this is just a story of a 14-year-old. How the heck is this going to help me? Well, like I said, this is a cautionary tale for those who don't listen to the advice they are given. So, listen to me. Start simple. Yes, this is common sense. But this is a cautionary tale for those who don't listen to that piece of advice. So, don't start working on the next Skyrim after you just learned your first line of the Python programming language. Start simple. Just keep making simple projects to the point where you can just expand your horizon. Expand what your ability in general. Then you might make the next Skyrim, but that's highly debatable. So, I'm sorry to sound like a broken record here, but start simple. This is common sense, and you need to listen to this. Thank you.